This is video number 3 for assignment number 6. In the previous video, we did an architectural wall, and then we did a curtain wall, and we put in a sheet of glass in a sense. One big sheet of glass. That's the whole length of the building. I mean, the whole height of the building. And now we're going to come in and put the grid lines that are going to represent the mullions. Okay. And if we go back, I lost it. To here, to our lecture. Okay. Let's see if I can flip through here real quick. There we go. Okay, to our example of the Seagram's building, what we're trying to do is create those grid lines, those vertical and horizontal grid lines that will then place mullions on them. Okay, so we're going to define those. Let's see if we can't zoom in a little bit here. Yeah. So I'm going to define these tops and bottoms of the spandrel panels, okay, and then we'll define the vertical mullions that we're going to use. So let's get to it. To do that, what we're going to do, it's pretty simple. Probably best done in a elevation. And since this is the west side of this building, this view right here is the west side of the building, I'm going to open up the west elevation. So let's double click on elevations here. So right below our 3D views here are elevations. Of course, it defaults with north, south, east, and west elevation. So that works for us. I'm going to open that west elevation. And there's a number of things in that west elevation that I don't want. First of all, I'm going to make this full scale. Okay. So instead of divided, oops, let's see if I can do that. Oh, come on, take. Can't get it to take. Oh, well, I know how to resolve that. Okay, we'll just close this view, and then we'll be able to do it this way. Okay, so now we have our west elevation here. And I probably closed the wrong view, but there are several elements that I don't want to be in our way. We can see, first of all, there's these sidewalks and the topography and all that. I'm going to get rid of that by just hiding it. Okay, so I selected that with a cross selection. And then there's a couple of levels here that I don't need, and they'll just be in the way. So I'm just going to element hide those. And of course, I want my top, but I'm probably going to raise this up a little bit. Well, better yet, let's keep level 1 there and top of footing. I'm going to keep, but I'm going to lower it down here. And then let's line it up with all the others. See if I can get it to snap. Yeah, there we go. So it'll now move with all the others, and I got to pull this back and pull this back to get what I want. Anyway, close enough. Wasting too much time on that. So now we want to put the mullions in on our glass, and there's our glass right here. You can see when I roll over, it selects. I'm going to zoom in so you can see a good. And if I wanted to see it, you can see the brick pattern now that we've zoomed in close enough for the brick pattern. And if we wanted to see it shaded, see there's the big blue mass that's going to be our glass. And then, but to do this, what I want to do is turn this on wireframe so I can see through all the solid objects, kind of an X-ray, right? And so there's my roof right there. Okay, there's one of my beams running, my girders, my frames, of course, are running across the building. So there's one of my frames right there. You can see the girders there, and you can see there's my floor deck right there. Okay, that's on the other side on the mezzanine, but nonetheless, it's my floor. And then here's my slab right here. And so hopefully that oriented you a little bit. And so the first thing I'm going to do is select the glass, and the next thing I'm going to do is come up here and go into architecture, and I'm going to add curtain grids. okay? And if we look at the little video, what this does is it allows me to divide the window up or the glass up into segments however I want to. The only thing that you can't do now is actually everything has to be vertical or horizontal. There are ways to do non-vertical and horizontal, but not in this particular method. So if I click on grid there, you'll see these three. We're going to go all segment, and I'll talk about what a segment is as we do this. Okay. If I move along the horizontal up here, you notice that it's going to put in a grid line vertically. If I move along that surface along the vertical, it's going to put a horizontal rail or a grid in. Okay, so this is 16 feet because I've already measured it. I know from my finished floor right here, I'll zoom in a little bit more. From my finished floor up to my parapet is 16 feet. And so I want a spandrel panel, right? If we go back to good old Seagram's mill. So I want a spandrel panel that's going to cover the parapet up here at the top. Okay, you can see he's got a big segment of there up at the top. Okay, so we're going to come up here and we're going to go down 6 feet. So I'm going to put a grid in about 6 feet down, not about, exactly 6 feet down. That gives me a 10-foot ceiling in here. So when my ceiling grid goes in, it will line up, okay, with that mullion there. And then I'm going to come down and I want another one right here at the floor. And all I have to do is move over here to the edge. And notice it snapped right to the floor. So I'm going to put another grid in there. Okay, and then I'm going to do another. I want another one from here, and let's measure the floor to floor just because I can't remember. That's 13 foot 4 inches. Okay, so I'm going to do this one. If you subtract 10 from that, that would be 3 foot 4 inches. So I'm going to go back to curtain grid here, and I'm going to set this in. I'll just go ahead and just set it in, and then I'm going to modify it by selecting it and then typing in 4 inches right here. And that's easier sometimes than just trying to. Okay, so now it's 10 feet from here to here. And let's go back to architecture and curtain grid. And I'm going to go down here till we get snap to the floor and put one there. We're going to go 3 foot. If I zoom in, I can probably do it on the fly. No. So I'll just put it in here at 3 foot 6 inches, and then what I'm going to do is select it and once again do the same thing I did before and make this 4 inches here. Okay, and now the ground, and that's just for consistency visually outside, because I have 12 foot 8 inches on that first floor, because that first floor is 16 feet. Okay, and the other floors are shorter than that. Okay, but so that defines. Did I put one at the floor? Let's see here. Let's go back here and select our panel, and let's go back to headline so that I can see. Okay, so yeah, so that's the boundary edge right there. There's our grid for our horizontal mullions. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is create vertical mullions. And so let's throw us a dimension in here. Okay, so we know what kind of, so that's 34 feet from there to there, from at least grid line to grid line. So a little less than 34 feet going to the edge of the column. So let's think about that for a second. Okay, so how many, grids, and it could be, I'd probably print this out if I was actually designing the building. I would just print this out really quick, and I'd grab my pencil and I would sketch a little bit and decide, okay, what I really want, and I haven't really thought about it. Okay, so now we've finished our grid lines for the horizontal, and what we want to do now is put the verticals in, and I'm going to do those in a little bit different method than we did before. And so let's do that. I'm going to go in here to this curtain wall, and it says edit type, and I'm going to click edit type. Okay, and then I'm going to give it a name, any logical name, because I don't want to ruin my existing curtain wall. So what I'm going to do is duplicate it, okay, and say, okay, this is curtain wall, you know, A06 for our assignment. Okay, so now I know that this is the curtain wall. As a matter of fact, I'm going to add the A06 in front. So this is the curtain wall that I designed for A06. And so I'm going to say OK to that. Okay. And then down here, you'll notice there's a vertical grid, a horizontal grid, and vertical mullions. I'm going to cancel out of this for a second, okay, and go back to this properties box over here. And so what I want you to look at is that you'll see vertical grid, horizontal grid, okay, you know, whether it's structural or not, which it's not. So there's other types of things here. And then you'll notice there's a number here, and all that's grayed out, and that's because we don't have it, in a sense, turned on. So we're going to go back here, okay? I'm going to swap this. Where's my A06 curtain wall? Oh, it's underneath. Is it underneath this? Where? Oh, I canceled it, so it didn't duplicate it. Okay. Okay, so we'll go edit type, back to edit type. We'll duplicate it. Whoops. We'll select it first, and then we'll edit type, and then we'll duplicate it again since it didn't take. And I'm just going to say A06 dash curtain wall. Say OK to that. And then on this vertical grid right here, I'm going to, instead of none, okay, I'm going to say, hey, give me a fixed number, okay? I'm not a fixed distance. If I was on a grid and I wanted them every 5 feet or something like that, then I could say a fixed distance and then say 5 feet. But what I'd like is to play with a kind of a fixed number, okay? I like them all equal. So if I play with fixed number, then they'll be all equal. And so we're going to start out with, say, 4 panels here, okay? And what that does is it creates 4 vertical grids, 1, 2, 3, 4, but 5 panes, right? 5 panels here. So there's 5 panels, and that's a little wide. I don't know what that dimension is, but we could probably dimension it really quick and find out. Okay, that's 6 foot 8 inches. Visually that might be okay, but I think I'd like it a little shorter than that. So what I'm going to do is go back to my pane here, okay, and let's up this to 5 now. Okay, so I'm going to apply that, and of course it changed it. Now these are 5 foot 6 and 11/16 inches, as if we need that kind of accuracy. We don't, but anyway, we've got it. And so that looks pretty good. I like that. Here's my, you know, and I can put this in shading so at least I can see the divisions better, okay? And so, yeah, okay, that'll work. Now I've got this gridded out, and I'm ready to add mullions, and in the next video, we're going to add mullions.